Well, hello everyone, welcome back guys. Hope you all are doing well. And today I'm gonna start a new module which is gonna be the server side vulnerability module, and the name of this module is server side request forgery. As well as the name is concerned, we are going to forge the request that is going to be processed on the server side. So before going further, this little disclaimer as always for you: this video and its contents are only for educational and awareness purpose, and I do not support any unethical or illegal act. That's been said, the first question arises: what is SSRF? So it stands for server side request forgery, as I mentioned before, and it is a web security vulnerability that allows an attacker to induce the server-side application to make requests to an unintended location. Means if that vulnerability exists and a threat actor exploited that vulnerability, that means that attacker can go further to your internal servers or other internal API server from where he can get other data or any location, unintended location or endpoints for which that threat actor is not authorized to go. Fine. Now this will be more cleared once I explain this, but before that I just want to read this for a moment. So in a typical SSRF attack, the attacker might cause the server to make a connection to internal only services within the organization's infrastructure. In other cases, they may be able to force the server to connect to arbitrary external systems, potentially leaking sensitive data such as authorization credentials. Now, first of all, I want to explain this scenario. So this is internal network, right? Whatever you see behind the firewall, whatever you see right hand side of this firewall is the internal network, and whatever you see left hand of this firewall is external network, means you can say internet. So this left hand side is the internet side and right hand side is the internal side. So now this application, this website is a front end application, and this is publicly published over internet, so any user come from internet can see this website. Fine. Now to log in into that website, he may have the username and password. Even for unauthenticated users, this website may have different options, like suppose I wanna say that this application provides the locations for restaurant, hotels, hospitals, okay, all these locations. It will provide you the location, but this is only the front end. So whenever any user from the internet comes to this website to search for a location for a specific hotel, then this application is going to call for this request to the internal API server. You can say this server is for ArcGIS server or any geolocation server which provides the geographical locations and tell you where this hotel is, where this hospital is. And this application is going to query that data from this REST API. Then this API server is reply back to this application, okay, this hotel XYZ is 15 kilometers far from here, and this is the path and this is the pinpoint location, and then that response is going to rendered on this user browser. Fine. So this is the first case where the data user query comes from internal servers or internal API servers or backend servers. The second case is I published this website for the users to get locations, but I purchase the location service from Google. Okay, so whenever any user come to my website to get a particular location, my application send his request to the Google server for the location. because I purchased the Google API or Google Map API. So in that case, my server is going to ask for that location to the Google service, and Google service will tell me, okay, this is your data, and then that response will go back to the user, and user will know, okay, this is the my location and this is the hotel location and blah blah blah. The most important part here is my server or my service, my front end server is going to call different endpoints. That endpoint may be in my own network and that endpoint may be on the external network. So in that case, if user can control that request on that point when my application is sending requests to other internal server or external server, and if that user can change or alter or manipulate that request to send, instead of sending to the correct location or correct API server, if that threat actor can send that request to its own controlled attacker server, then this is SSRF, and this is the vulnerability, and this is the exploitation too. Because user control that request, user manipulate that request, user forged that request by telling the server, by telling this front end application, instead of going to this internal endpoint or this external endpoint, instead of going there, go somewhere else which is controlled by me. And in that case, if a threat actor can do this, it could have a very bad impact, because in this case I can even scan the internal network, I can upload something or some malicious files on this application server, I can get reverse shell maybe. So a lot of things we can do, and you will see that once we will solve those labs. Okay, but this is very dangerous, very dangerous, and a lot of times even you can get the credentials. Fine, so we will see all those in the labs. So this is only the theoretical video and only for the briefing. In coming videos you will see how it can be identified, how it can be exploited. So these are the labs. What is the impact of SSRF attack? So a successful SSRF attack can often result in unauthorized actions or access to data within the organization, either in the vulnerable application itself or on other backend systems that the application can communicate with. So in some situations, the SSRF vulnerability might allow an attacker to perform arbitrary command execution. You can see here that this internal system cannot be accessed by this user directly, fine, but this internal API or server can be accessed by this application, because this application server have two interfaces, you can say, one that is for the public and one which is for the internal. So if we cannot directly send this request to the private IP, but once we reach up to this web application server and that application server can reach to this endpoint API, that means we do not have the trust relation between this endpoint server, but this application server has trust relationship with this internal endpoint. That means any request, first of all, we cannot send direct request to this internal server, but if this application server, front end application server, sent any request to this internal server, so this internal server will say, okay, I know this guy and I can trust on this, so this is your data, whatever you asked, and then that will be rendered, that response will be rendered on the user's browser. That is the thing. So this is the impact. An SSRF exploit that causes connection to external third-party systems might result in malicious onward attack that appear to originate from organization hosting the vulnerable application. It could really have serious damage, and if you go and see the reports, like here, if I go SSRF attacks in 2020. So this is the Portswigger attack data breach. This one, Spicework vulnerability in IBM, all these. So you can see here SSRF attack and data breach. SSRF attack, one of the largest banks in the United States, was just fined $80 million for a massive data breach in 2019 incident, which exposed personal data of 100 million Americans and 6 million Canadians. So this is pretty bad. An SSRF attack masks hostile requests by making them appear to be legitimate internal traffic. So you can read all these content. I will put the link in the description section. You can go, and this one is also the big one. So you can also read these, and this is actually the high priority vulnerability. If you just find this vulnerability in your application or anywhere, patch it as soon as possible. Leave everything and just patch this one. And if you find this in your application, just do not publish that. First patch it and then publish, because this had very bad impact. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to solve the first lab. We will see that scenario again, and we will discuss on it, and we will solve the lab. So that's it for this video. If you like the content, please like, subscribe and share. See you in the next video. Bye.